Ready? Is that going? All right, what's up, All Day Training family? Me and my boy Travis are back in HEB for installment number 2 on what to eat, what not to eat. Today, this week, we're gonna go over meats. The meats that we typically buy, that we do when we go to the store. We're gonna touch on a couple of things, tips and tricks we use when we cook, what to use, what to avoid. We're not gonna spend much time on seafood. This is the seafood area. We just wanted to let you know it exists. You've got wild-caught salmon, you've got halibut, you've got shrimp, crab, all kinds of different seafood. Highly beneficial, highly very high in protein, very high in omega-3 fatty acids, so very good for you. Just not something we typically buy. They tend to be a little more expensive per ounce, so we don't buy them too much, plus my wife doesn't like them. But anyway, decide for yourself if it's something for you. We're gonna move on to what we eat, which is down this aisle. So here we go. Let it's on front. Hopefully not get kicked out of here. So we've got a lot of different beef here. You got Angus beef, you got top round sirloin, you got pork. Not against it. I think steak is good. Big misconception, steak is bad. Steak is not bad. In fact, a little bit of saturated fat in your life is good. It promotes high testosterone levels. Red meat is proven to be higher in creatine. So steak is good, people. It's how you eat it and how you consume it that makes it good or bad, and how much you eat. We typically don't buy meat this way. I don't buy beef as a steak too often, but it's a great way to eat it. So I'm gonna show you how Travis and I typically get our beef. You wanna talk about yours? Why don't you talk about what you get? You talk about what you get.
All right, guys, what's going on? So today what we really wanted to do, a little bit different than our produce video, was we really wanted to focus on giving you information on how we buy meats and why we buy meats. So me specifically, you know, I don't like to come to the grocery store very often throughout the week. I try to come once or twice. So whenever I do come, I try to buy enough to get me through the week. Lots of meals, 24, 25 meals. And I like to try and get at least 2 or 3 different kinds of meats. So me personally, I like to do ground beef, I like to do steak, and I like to do chicken. So when you come to the ground beef, you got a lot of different options, and there's a lot of different options for different reasons. Obviously with ground beef, you can do anything from, you know, spaghetti meat, throw it in with some rice, or you can make a burger patty. So because of that, you've got a lot of different options with your fat percentage. Personally, I like to keep it lean. I like to get as least amount of fat as I can. So I'm gonna go with either the 93.7 lean, or I'm gonna go 96.4. But really, anything 90-10 and up, keep it lean. It's gonna be good stuff for you, all right? Moving down.
Real quick, let me touch base on something. Not everybody likes to get this. My wife and I like to get this. You got turkey patties, no added hormones ever, no antibiotics. This is really good. That's very lean to turkey breast. We also do ground turkey meat right here. We do ground turkey all the time, not the 80-20 though. We typically go 93.7. So ground turkey can be just as effective for all of your favorite meals as getting the lean ground beef that Travis gets. I just wanted to make note that we go either way to keep variety in our meals. So, all right, let's follow Travis down. Let's talk about.
All right, so as Taylor mentioned, animal fats, saturated fats, red meats, there's nothing wrong with them. Obviously, you know, you don't want a super high amount of your saturated fats. You want to keep it under control. However, when it comes to meats, red meat specifically is going to be much higher in creatine than your white meats, like your chicken and your turkey breast. So I try to throw plenty of steak into my diet. However, just like the ground beef, I want to keep it as lean as I can. Your leaner meats are usually going to be like your top sirloins. Your fattier meats are usually going to be like your flank steaks, your skirt steaks, your rib eyes. So I'll try to find the leanest top sirloin that I can, and I also try to get the most bang for my buck. So let's take a look at what we got. So here's going to be your top sirloin. Let me get you a visual comparison. Here's a ribeye. A lot of white, a lot of marble, a lot of fat. Here's your top sirloin. You don't see a lot of white, all right? So, but it doesn't stop there. I'm gonna dig through the top sirloins. I'm gonna find the ones with the least amount of fat, the least amount of white. That way there's not as much trimming and I'm getting the most bang for my buck, all right? Top sirloins, moving on.
Hey, let's cut back here. Let's cut back here for just a minute. Another thing I like, guys, is, I like lot of people say pork is bad because it's so high in fat. Well, just like any other animal, you can find lean cuts. And so if you look here, you got pork center loin chops. So pork chops, guys, very lean. If you notice, just like Travis said, just find the ones that don't have all that marbleized fat. That's a lot of marbleized fat. That's a little marbleized fat. So find the cutlets that have mostly red and pink and not all the white marbleized fat. Again, pork chops, pork loin, very, very good to eat pork. That's the leanest pork you can buy. Obviously, we don't even need to go there with the ribs, folks. Look at all that marbleized fat. It looks so good.
And keep in mind, when we talk about fat and marble, what we're talking about is all the fat within the meat that you really can't trim out. That's going to be your marble. However, all the fat around the perimeter of the cut, this can all be trimmed off. All right, so don't be scared of that. That can be trimmed off. This is the stuff we can't trim. That's the marble. That's what we're trying to keep low. This can be trimmed off.
And one last thing on the back side before we move on. Notice. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Hey, big guy. Now, my wife and I, we like to get the frozen chicken breast. Some people say frozen is bad. What you have to do is look for yourself and find the ones that aren't high in preservatives like sodium, okay? So there's a little bit of sodium in this. We tend to find the bags that have the least amount of sodium, and where you're gonna find that is in the bags that don't have the pre-cooked chicken breast. They've just been frozen right off the bat, just like that. This would be pre-cooked. Pre-cooked, avoid. If you're gonna buy frozen, this is how you're gonna do it, all right? And we do that all the time. It's a great way to store a lot of lean chicken all at once. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna follow you.
All right, coming up on the chicken next. Everybody's favorite meat to chew on. When it comes to the chicken, similar rules apply. We're looking for the leanest cuts we can. Mainly because, just to clarify, when you get a unit price, for example, this chicken breast $1.99 a pound. You're paying $1.99 a pound for everything that's in the package. So if there's a lot of white and a lot of fat in the package, that unit price is being cut into the amount of protein you're actually getting per serving. So we try to go chicken. Personally, I try to find the lowest unit price I can, but I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to dig through these. I'm going to try and find the least amount of fat as I can. So if you look, you know, this one's got a lot of fat here. It's got a lot of fat up here. Let's dig through. This one looks a lot leaner, all right? We don't see as much fat. There's not as much to trim off. You're going to get a lot more protein per unit ounce. Let's see, we got a lot of different kinds of chicken though. We got the chicken breast, we've got the chicken tenders, we've got the thighs. Personally, for me, I like to keep the chicken breast. Every now and then I'll do the chicken tender cuts. Really, it all comes down to whatever chicken I can find that's the leanest and the lowest unit price at the time. I like to buy in bulk, get a lot of meals. So personally, I like to find around the $2.50, $3 a pound range.
Let's touch briefly on the pre-marinated, just barely touch on it.
Oh yeah, and so let's touch on the pre-marinated meats. Usually it's going to be the pre-seasoned fajita meats. You'll see a lot of this stuff. Okay, we've got pre-seasoned, sometimes it's thighs, sometimes it's chicken breast. You've got the pre-seasoned meats. You know, I'm not going to necessarily bash on the quality of the meat, but I personally wouldn't buy it as a product. Mainly because you don't. It's saturated in all this marinade and sodium. You don't know what it's marinated in, and it's going to be chocked full of a lot of sodium. And not to get too technical on you, but just to give you an example. Sodium per serving. I don't know if you can see that. 720 milligrams per serving. Now let's look at a non-marinated chicken breast. Half the sodium per serving, 360 milligrams. Now, I'm not going to say that sodium's bad for you. Obviously, sodium's an electrolyte. You need to get sodium. You need to have an electrolyte balance. Also, if you're a bodybuilder, sodium is going to promote vascularity. However, too much sodium is not a good thing, and it's always best if you can control it on your own. So it's best to buy your meat raw, buy it unseasoned, and try to season it yourself.
All right, I think that's about it, guys. Well, we do have one more thing. Some of you love to make your sandwiches with the prepackaged deli meat, and I'm very much anti prepackaged deli meat for the same reasons that you don't want to buy the prepackaged marinated meat. If you're gonna get turkey, go get ground turkey, lean ground turkey. If If you're gonna go get some kind of pig, go get pork chops, go get lean pork chops. Don't go buy prepackaged ham. You wanna buy good, high quality meat that's low in preservatives, you buy it from down here. You don't buy packaged to make your sandwiches. I've fallen into the trap just like most parents. You wanna buy it for the kids and put it on their sandwiches. We still do it from time to time, but it's not necessary. In fact, and I'm as guilty as any parent has been, it's and many times just pure laziness to go buy prepackaged meat instead of preparing your own meat. It's much healthier for your kiddos. That's pretty much it as far as the meat goes. We do have bacon over there. I like bacon. You like bacon, Travis? Bacon is awesome. Again, bacon in a lot of ways, just like eating red meat, it's gonna be higher in fat. It is gonna be higher in sodium in some cases, but you can find bacon that's lower in sodium. Bacon can be enjoyed in small quantities. Now, if you have super high, clinically high cholesterol, is it a good idea to eat 5 slices of bacon every morning with breakfast? No, it's not. But bacon is not the enemy. It's the fact that people eat too much of it. Enjoy your bacon. It's also high in protein. So don't feel too bad about having your bacon. Don't feel guilty about it. The last thing I think I will say that I have is grass-fed versus grain or corn-fed beef. There's been a lot of debate over why it's better. A lot of people don't know why it's better, grass-fed beef is. The reason is grass-fed beef and not corn and grain-fed beef, but grass-fed beef is much higher in omega-3s. The ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s is much higher. And as we all know, omega-3 fatty acids are proven to be much better for the health benefits that we get from fat. Omega-6s tend to be contributed in high doses in the American diet to diseases like cancer and heart disease and all these other things. So grass-fed beef is much higher than that. It's higher in things like vitamin E, I think, which is an antioxidant. So much better for you overall. But like Travis, I don't always buy grass-fed beef. Sometimes we buy grain or corn-fed beef when you can and you want to spend a little more money. I think it's well worth the buy. Do you have anything else?
No, guys. I think that's going to be pretty much it. I think we've pretty much covered most of the basics. Obviously, there's a lot of things we kind of left out, but we just really wanted to focus on the basics and more so the things that we buy a lot and kind of give you some insight on why we buy it. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today.
All right, guys. Eat your protein. Later.
We need like a